out from now and just see.
Yeah, it looks a bit
Hello?
dark.
Testing, 1, 2. Dude, I'm down to 1 fucking bar of battery. I'm actually stupid. This might be a time.
Okay.
This might be time sensitive.
That's
material.
okay. Well, that's good. We got a sense of urgency. So,
Yeah.
So we'll definitely fuck it up. Yeah.
Manny, what's up, dude? How
What's
are you
up, dude?
doing?
I'm very good.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, you too.
Good to have you. Good to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck this shit is.
Yeah.
What are we doing today?
We're just having like a pleasant conversational drive through how to park in Westmount. Like I think that's what we're doing.
The view forward's a lot nicer than the view of our fucking mugs, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You got a nice.
It's like we can smile and kind of try and reflect it back into the camera a little bit, but it might be difficult.
The joy in our faces. Hopefully it registers.
The sunken joy of my cheekbones and my eyes. You can just feel it like draining out. Just the joy.
The times go. Okay, we're good. We're in. So, we were thinking maybe making this one a little bit directed, having like some kind of fucking some thoughts of the conversation beforehand. I didn't really explore any of those thoughts at all in my own time. So I don't know about you.
Yeah. No, I didn't either. I didn't do my homework at all, dude. Like I fucking flunked this class. But no, like we were just talking about like I think. Just learning and like kind of like the joys of learning or like the pains of not learning, kind of more like.
Yeah, and the importance of learning as like a motivator, or at least like goal setting and moving towards something, like having kind of little accomplishments to look forward to or to pat yourself on the back for, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And how learning ties into that, because that had come up in conversation. You had brought it up to do with work, getting a new job and stuff.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, like when you're in the midst of all that's already happening, but also just, I mean, this is like the eternal question people go over, right? With like comfort of like where they are, but also somewhere where they want to keep changing and evolving, and like if you can't see that happening, like I feel like I don't know, it's like different kinds of people too, like you said yourself. Like I kind of gave the example, like all like, you know, if someone just had to press a button all day, like a single button, and they couldn't listen to music or do anything else, but they were like super well paid, like would they do that? And like I mean, like I was like, oh, most people would go crazy, and you're like, oh, but you could still imagine like some people.
I think there's a market for it. Yeah. There's some, I mean, at least like there would be, there's one thing weighing the kind of pros and cons of like doing something that itself is super shit, but if it pays really good, a part of how you decide something shit is that it pays bad.
Yeah.
If the thing is shit but it pays good, it's kind of elevated to a level.
There's some benefits.
Yeah, like it's tolerable because someone else has decided that it's not shit, right? Because it pays good.
Yeah.
So if the money's nice, that could be comforting enough that you could even do it just as like a sacrifice of sorts. Like they're gonna put some time into it, enough time that you need to. But also completely like to the other end of that, I think there is legitimately a market for people that just want work that is completely brain shut off.
We're specialized enough to have the experts do that. Yeah, the ones who can be in the flow of like the button pressing and do that. I'm sure, but it's like you said, like as long as those people are capable of like fixating on like the objective, like you said, like, oh, they're gonna get their money, but then they're doing it because they're money, and it's like it helps them. As long as they can build that connection in their head and feel rewarded that way, I think you know, that's definitely like something that's really important to kind of find for everybody, where they can get that kind of sense of that, or be able to reroute their attitude towards that, or just realize they're fucking miserable. Like I think a lot of people like though like might be in that situation and they're like, I like pressing this button, it's paying my bills, and then you know after like you know like they realize and they're like, ah fuck, I'm fucking dead inside.
That's why me personally, I'm with you on the having learning as a part of it being good, and like doing shit that's too simple. And I don't know if too simple is the wording. Like, here's one way to put it. Like, I've worked all kinds of different kind of job things, and one thing that's universal across all of them is that the time passes and like feels like it's passing properly when you're doing work. You know what I mean? Like when there's dead time or time that's just kind of really not being spent doing much of anything. That's really slow. And like the most dull, and people that some people like need that. Some people are always like, I need 5 minutes to stare at my phone kind of thing, or that. To me, that 5 minutes staring at my phone is longer than 5 minutes working.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Because it's a takeaway, and you see the clock ticking, and you're like checking it. Oh, 5:30.
Yeah.
5:31.
Yeah.
Like that shit.
Like, why are you checking your phone though? Like, that's the thing. It's like you're not all in alignment in your mind to keep doing the chore. There's like it's trying to like kind of hop to see like, when does this end? When is this over? And I feel like that's definitely like what people want to do, is get in that flow, in that zone where like all of you is kind of like aligned and like purpose on the task. You know, it's like someone even talks to you and you're just like, nope, this is what I'm fucking doing. You know?
Yeah, but if the thing's too brain dead, you can't really get to that kind of zone.
No,
really, not for me at least.
No,
and that's why like, with pretty much any work I've done, I've preferred doing work like dead time at work. Unless you've had a really strenuous, stressful, or whatnot, like day, dead time at work is shit. There's like nothing.
No, you don't have time to engage in anything else. You're really just like giving yourself a little bit of a breather off the task you're doing, and then you're gonna, letting it cool off, and you're just gonna re-engage with that thing. I mean, it's kind of crazy though, because I feel like, now I'm gonna have a job that's like a lot more complex, like another job I had. And in some of these jobs, like you have like, it's like when you're learning something in school, it's like you're not just doing one thing, you're learning this thing, you're doing another thing. There's multiple parts to it. So, having a job where, okay, you like spend the first part of the morning doing that, and the other part of doing that, you might use a lot of different parts of your brain. But if you're doing, like, I've had tons of help desk jobs, all you're doing all day for 8 hours is the same like kind of like routine task. And like, I feel like, you can get better at that, but I feel like because you're doing the same thing, that part of your brain, just like a muscle, just burn out faster. And like, there's no one that I know that really lasts in those roles. Everyone tries to pivot out. So it's tough though, like, because I've always explained this to some people, because they're like, oh, why don't you find another job? And like, the thing is, you enter this kind of state where you're just working all the time, and so you're fucking burnt at the end of the day, and so you just don't have the energy to invest in finding another job.
Yeah,
and it's like
100%.
So that's something of like, a problem that I feel like, depending on some people, like, they wouldn't see that. They're like, oh, but I wouldn't want to leave so much, like I would do that. And it's like, oh yeah, I would do that too, but like, I just get home and it's like,
there's
I
other
just
restraints.
need to shut that off. Yeah.
There's other things that kind of tie you into it too. It's not like there's, well, and also for me, I know that I'm like a creature of habit. Like I do everything or nothing with a lot of things. That's maybe not the best wording, but I kind of am. But as far as another way to put it is just that when I'm doing something, I work it in. I'm a generally pretty simple person, so when I work something into like a routine, I'll stick with it. I don't know, just because that's just the way that I work,
No, that makes sense. Like, you find the way that like you can sort of do something comfortably, and then it's like you just repeat. Like, you find a groove, It's like
I start and stop stuff pretty easily. So maybe saying that I have everything or nothing with stuff kind of makes sense. Like, I've picked up a bunch of random jobs, and just ran them through, and kind of stopped. At a point, started at a point, stopped at a point, just kind of.
Yeah, I feel like you have a very like experimental, like ready to explore kind of like attitude with those things, and like I think that's really good to kind of have, just kind of like a level of curiosity to like kind of like be open to trying all those kinds of jobs. And then it's important to, I think I have a hard time leaving, like, always, like stopping.
That's what I was kind of trying to get to a little bit with. I haven't really sat and thought about this much, but like, say with the boxing thing, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is something that I just started recently. Started boxing, training boxing with my dad and some other people from that circle, my cousin, my uncle and stuff.
Yeah.
And I had never had any interest in it, really. Like, I'm not particularly into sports, but ever at any point, really. Fighting is like in an area that was always a little bit more interesting to me than like conventional kind of team sports and whatnot.
Yeah, there's a little primal kind of thing there. Like,
so there's a bit of that, but like, I had never really given a shit,
Yeah.
It was just, and then we start this thing. My dad kind of calls me up one day. He's like, "Oh, I hung up a punching bag at the garage. You want to start boxing?" kind of thing. I was like,
"Yeah,
okay, yeah, sure, cool." And that was it. I've been going 3 days a week for like a couple months now, and there was never any kind of, am I gonna do, like, I said, yeah, I'll start this.
Yeah.
And I'm in. And I'm gonna be in for, I don't have like a determined start and stop. It's just, but I'm in 100% now that I'm in. And
Yeah.
he had even told me, he's like, I didn't think that you'd kind of come back, you know, the next time and the third time and the, it's
Yeah.
like, I haven't put any thought into it. I just started something and now this is just something that I do.
Yeah, you very simply kind of decided, like, that's the thing, like you said, you didn't have any objectives or whatever, but you do seem to have, like, agreed with yourself that you're gonna go. And, like, that's, and because you went and it was dope, right? It was,
yeah,
like,
I enjoyed it. I like the vibe a lot. It's fun. It's like a kind of like a bit of a bonding thing a little bit, and training, and it fills gaps. It's good.
Yeah.
But I had never really. It was never even a question as to whether or not I'm going to go back. I just went. I was like, oh, this works. I can do this again, and that was it. And I wasn't like, am I going to get good at this? Am I? It was just, I'm in this now. This is what I do.
Yeah. I think that's important to, like, you know, just be able to go with things like that and not necessarily take them too seriously, or just, you know, you don't have to decide if you're going to take it seriously, like, right away. Like,
but in the context of a shitty job, having that same mentality, that's kind of, you know, that's comes back to what we were talking about. That for me is where I see it as a negative more, because I'll find myself in a shitty job situation, and again, like you were saying, there's all the why don't you leave, why don't you this or that. Well, there's other restraints and other, you know, things that you're stuck in that keep you there, but also my brain just kind of like, this is what I do now, kind of thing. Like, this is just what I'm doing. So there's a bit of that. Yeah. But then I get in and get out pretty abruptly with stuff though.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's hard to know if things are okay or not okay. I mean, it is a job after all, so, you know, you're just working your ass off at the end of the day. So,
yeah, I'm just checking that thing.
Yeah.
It's a little dark, but we're good.
Yeah, but you know, it's really just about being able to just, I feel like, find alternatives. I don't think it's really that easy to do that in those situations.
To what, sorry?
Like in those situations where you're like, you know, you're at your job and it's also like you want to try it a bit more, right? You're like, oh, this doesn't feel great, but it's like, you know, like that's kind of how it's supposed to feel maybe, and like, you know, just supposed to like carry on and just like do your best. I don't know, like obviously,
but it's
how many times can you bring it back to the whole pandemic, right? Like there's just that happening at the same time. Like for me, that's what
right now,
really,
especially
but it really blurred the fucking like thing, because it's like, oh, is it this job or is it just because it's the fucking pandemic and it's like, and like all of these things together, like there doesn't seem to be like a lot of other options to see like really what would be good there. Just to bring it back to the boxing thing quickly though, like you really got me down. I was looking up heavy bags yesterday, like a shit ton. Yeah,
it's sick. I don't, that's like I've there was a point, what were we talking about?
When? Like
what was it? We were talking about something like oh yeah, we're talking about things being shit and what like a good day looks like what's kind of.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got myself imagining, because I'm not very good at forward thinking. I'm very much like it's kind of, it's a good and bad in its own ways. Like, you know, I feel some people like live their whole life trying to be in the moment, you know, like like that's all I am.
Okay, that's what I was thought. I'm
like nothing else, you know. I don't really think far ahead and any of that shit, but I was, after that conversation, I found myself thinking and like imagining what an ideal kind of situation looked like and whatnot. And yeah, like boxing is now in there. Like I feel like that's like an integral kind of part of what I'm about now.
I feel like what you're about. It's funny when you say that, because there's definitely that feeling's always been there in terms of like you being like the adventure guy, right? Like even if you're gonna meet up with us, it's like because we're with you, like anything could happen now. Like it's just like a whole other like world comes into play, because just like random people show up, like you know or you don't know, but like it's like, you know, some people can like just come up to you in the middle of like the street and like talk to you, and like everyone will react differently or be like, oh, like what the fuck, but like you're the kind of person I feel like would just flow with that so well that you might just weird out the other person, like just like, whoa, it's like how is he just so comfortable with this, like, oh cool.
I have a lot of fucking banter with strangers and under the belt, you know. That's
exactly.
A lot of fucking random conversations out in the night. Yeah, for sure.
I did have a mentality that like when I would chill with you, like nothing would surprise me anymore. Like nothing, like everything is just, you know, everything that was odd with other people is just like, this is completely normal. And it made me more comfortable with those situations. So it was really cool, because you could never, it was always going to be fun. Like that was the guaranteed like fun. And it's something that even people that don't know you that well, but that met you through me, like say to me too, like, oh, that Dimitri guy, oh my god, dude, like, that guy's amazing, fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I got pretty good at that. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I love people, dude. I'm a big softie. I love all humans of the earth. Not really, but most of you, if I've met you in person. I like stuff, and I'm also. We brought this up actually yesterday a little bit while we were walking.
Yeah.
There's a chunk of me that just kind of hates like the world a little bit. I'm very pro-human. I like people, but I don't like the kind of constructs of the world kind of things. I don't really like the rules and the have tos and the do this and the do that and I had come to understand that at a point as a day people and night people kind of thing.
Yeah, you were talking about that the other day. True.
And day people are fundamentally not my fucking people. At least that was an understanding, especially a few years ago when I was going out a lot more. That was like my racket. My disliking of the world and kind of how it worked was like characterized by day people shit, like hair salons, sales, fucking morning fucking traffic, like productivity, like all these things, fucking brunch, like
people in suits,
day people shit. Yeah, I couldn't stand it. So a part of my like being a person of really like comfortable and just like enjoying myself in the world was just how much I loved nighttime people stuff. That was just my place. There was no fucking like, it's just honest. I kind of have a hard on for fucking honesty. I really like being just fucking, again, I'm a simple person.
People are more themselves at night. People are deeper like in touch with their identities, and they express themselves as individuals instead of like those constructs, I would say, or those functions of how they're supposed to be during the day.
I don't know that that's a rule for everybody, and if it is, maybe, but I think like there's also, other than just like the individual person and having their two different kind of ways of living, there's some people that like only really inhabit kind of the one or the other, there's like real fucking night people shit and real day people shit kind of thing. And a part of the whole wackiness and like all that, it's just I like the night stuff. That's my life. That was fun. And everybody there was just, this is my time now. This is my fucking earth. I run this shit. Like it was my show. Like it was fun. It's and I definitely
like the Dota 2 hero night stuff.
Night stuff. I don't fucking stalking people. There was a
fucking night
Dota hero fucking
just Dimitri flying over everything.
I don't know, lore-wise, because I'm into the Dota lore. I like mythologies and folk stories and whatnot of all sorts.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a
stories is I mean, in general, like putting like anything around something, and I mean, it always gives it the mysteriousness, right, and like the origins, but it's never like baked into like, it can't be too close to like anything too real. I feel like a story, because if not, it like loses its magic,
Well, it depends on well, there's some like stories, I don't know. There's some stories that like the reality of them is the best part, like how raw it is,
Yeah.
Like I find back to my dad a little bit, that my dad's one of, like, I feel like I'm a big story person. I like movies and all kinds of like storytelling, and I think I'm pretty good kind of conversationally. Like I like putting things out there. I like that shit. It's cool.
Yeah.
And there's like the two, there's like a fantasy and there's a reality, or whatever the fucking, why can I not think of the actual terms? You know what I mean? Yeah, there's the fake and real stories.
Science fiction, there's like fantasy,
fake and real fucking stories. And my dad is the real stories person, and my mom was like a fake stories person. Not fake, but like
fiction and non-fiction.
Yeah, like it was like I remember like going to the bookstore with my mom and buying like a fucking Harry Potter or whatever. Like that was that vibe.
Yeah, Harry Potter was fucking lit. It was. Like, I mean, I want to say like it blew my mind for someone who didn't read at the time, and it was just like, okay, this is. I didn't
cool. Actually. I read a bit of the first one. I got bored of it. I was a fucking weeb from a child. Yeah. Again, this is kind of a side story, but it's because of my mom that I'm a fucking weeb, actually. Well, whatever weebness I have, I'm not too hard on that shit, but it was like when we used to go to the bookstore with my mom, she's like, you have to buy one book in English and one book in French.
Oh, really?
Whatever
You had that
she wanted
life.
me to do, and I snuck it in. I started buying. I found the manga section, manga and comics, and they had the Dragon
you're
Ball.
sneaking in. This is like a French book.
They had the Dragon Ball manga, so I read all of Dragon Ball in French.
Yeah,
because I was watching Dragon Ball Z, and I'm like, oh, they have the story as kids.
But the books were all in French, like around.
Exactly,
I had them in French too, and it was fucking weird. After when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, it's like I just can't imagine them talking in French. Yeah.
But so I read all the Dragon Ball in French, like maybe not all of it, but a fucking lot of it in French. And that, like, when you think back, like, who's reading manga at like fucking 9?
Yeah.
Fucking this idiot, because I was
the kids who are forced to find French books, like.
But yeah, so my mom, through my mom's story stuff, was always like of that kind of style, and my dad was a complete fucking opposite always.
Yeah.
And dad was just like, it was all like he's great. He has all kinds of stories from like his youth and stuff, of, like all kinds of wacky fucking lived experiences and kind of crazy characters of his life. And it's all stories, but it's all real shit.
Yeah.
And that like is fucking great too. So
I
don't know how we got into the stories tangent, but I feel like it's funny that I have very good grounding on both sides.
Yeah.
At least like I could see in my development and my attraction to stories and storytelling, I could see like sources from, because my dad's stories are always the fucking best. You're like, what are you
like is this real? This is real?
Like we're just sitting driving around, and there's always like and something happened here and something happened there, and just like things and the old neighborhood stories and whatnots. And I always loved that shit as a kid. And I would just kind of sit and nod and be like, well, that's fucking real life for regular people too. And it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, but for him it's like he's literally remembering the shit and telling it to you. Like that's definitely the best. I mean, there's nothing like also having lived that and having your own stories, right? It's like you can always bring up like other shit that happened to other people, but then you're like, I went through this thing and like I'm alive, and you know, like you actually tell it to others and they have to remember. Definitely. Like I mean that's like such a reason to have like your own adventures and your own things to go on, to just have those moments that like no one would believe, but you had another guy there and he was like, no, I fucking swear to God, like unfortunately true. I mean, we were just talking. I think it's funny how to transition to stories, because we were talking about like self-fulfillment and like I guess it's almost like internally like the stories we tell ourselves. I don't know, man. Like, you know, it's like we can tie it in like that way. I mean, like in some ways, like you know, you have to have like an identity built in, like carrying through. I feel like these things, like you seem like you were saying, like you kind of do, but you kind of are very good at like just being able to go with whatever narrative is like thrown at you. But I feel like a lot of people, like you said, they're living their life trying to plan the next thing and then like fulfilling their kind of like story that way, like self-fulfilling it, whereas like you kind of like let it happen a little bit more, and then like you walk away with something a little bit more
I think
more
like,
interesting, unpredictable.
I like vibes a lot. I ride with I find that I'm kind of sensitive to just vibes that people put out. Like I kind of know more or less immediately if I'm gonna get along with someone. I like just at a glance, you know. Like, that's just kind of how it works. I don't know. It may do to judging book by its cover and shit, but it's not. There's something in the air sometimes, and so in a more general sense, I feel like a lot of life is just like riding, kind of catching waves. Like you're just doing shit, and there's sometimes something's coming at you, and you know that this is a wave that you could ride. You know, there's like this is an opportunity, or this is some kind of motion. Analogy. It's like there's some kind of motion. Of like
something's happening.
Like some fucking thing's gonna collide. Something's coming at you, and you could go with it or not. And I like there's something about my vibe, kind of intuition, and just way of thinking that works with that really well. Because I'll catch shit sometimes, and I'll fucking ride it out, and it'll be sick. And then things just fall into place. Like one of the best nights I ever had in my life was on a date with this chick, and it was just what the fuck. Like she. What actually? It wasn't even really a date, because it was, anyways, fucking semantics. But it was
date genre.
It's a girl that I had known from like a while back, like from high school, and she had come to town to visit, and it wasn't like a date thing. But it was like a fucking hangout, and it wound up being one of the best fucking days all my life, really. It was sick. And it was just because there was nothing to do. It was just like, oh, I'm in Montreal. I was like, oh, cool. Let's do, we're chilling and stuff. Like, we're in a group chat. Like, this is old fucking friend shit. Like, group chat, and it's like Montreal, and nobody else was down for anything that day. I'm like 100 fucking % available. Show up, and it's like, nobody's here. It's just me and you. Like, what are we doing? I don't fucking know. And we just, it was from like 2 p.m. till it must have been fucking 5 in the morning-ish or whatnot, of just like a stumble around fucking what have you all over the place, the city thing, and it was the best. And it was the best. And every fucking pit stop had like something about it, and everything was just decided on a whim, and you just kind of wind up. And those are the fucking, there was a, just to emphasize the funniness of like the wave and how things kind of play out in that. The night before, or 2 nights before, I was hanging out with Vasily and Theoni and some. He was in town from France.
Sounds like a good time already.
And there was a thing. We were around their neighborhood in Old Montreal.
Yeah, like at the bar. Is that possible?
Yeah, we were
bar
hanging,
St. Paul, whatever.
We were hanging out at some bars, and they called it a night early. Actually, whoever we were with. And particularly, they called it a night early. My cousin left me the keys to the house to get back in, and I stayed out. Yeah. And I was just kind of hanging around. It was a little ridiculous, but what are you gonna do? And so I'm at a bar and I'm like fraternizing with some fucking staff people and whatnot there. And there was a couple people that I was hanging around with, and then on the way out that night, like in the wee hours of the morning, it was like, oh, catch you next time. Like, I'm probably never gonna see you people again because I'm never in fucking Old Montreal. Like, I'm a very simple like basement pub like fucking hangout person. And then like 2 days later, I'm hanging out with this chick and we're wandering fucking down the streets and whatnot. We're at like bar 6 or some shit, and I'm walking down the street, and walking towards me is that motherfucker
from the
that I was never gonna see again. I'm just walking towards me on the street, like, what the fuck is this?
That's
what are you gonna fucking? And that's the waves, man. That's the waves.
The world just like,
dude. When you're just doing,
don't tell me the odds.
When you're just doing the right shit, sometimes, and that actually, maybe battery's fucking dying. Oh, I wanted to throw one last thing in there.
Just keep going, and it'll cut off. It'll save it. So
one last little bits and pieces that ties into this perfectly. Actually, is a quote that I had heard, whereas good luck is doing what you want, and